The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We are broadcasting from the Hesselson's studio, and this is the Steuben County Office for the Aging section of our program, committed to maximizing quality of life, safety, and independence. The Steuben County Office for the Aging. Joining me in the Hesselson studio, Drinald, it's so great to have you back.
Well, thank you, Frank. Thank you for having me, and good to meet you this morning.
Yes. Well, first of all, I'm offering a disclaimer here at the beginning. So you are running for Steuben County Legislature, District 12. That's Erwin. Now, I am a resident of Erwin. I'm on the town board of Erwin. So what I've decided to do to make these all fair, we're going to have all three candidates running for the Republican primary. And you're all going to be asked the same questions. So in the past, when we had follow-up or I kind of was joking with you or whatever, this is going to be more cut and dry, okay? Mm-hmm. So just so people are aware, and that's going to be the same for each of the candidates. So let's start with maybe the easiest softball question. Tell us about your background.
Yes. Good morning, Frank, and thanks again for having me on your show.
Of course.
Good morning to your viewers. My name is Drinald Bilcari, and I was born in Albania back during Reagan's first administration. I'm not gonna name the year, but I'll let people. At the time, Albania was still a communist country until the end of the 80s, actually, or early 90s, when the communist wall and all those fell. So it was a different experience to be growing up into that era. Although I was young, toward the end of the 80s, I remember one election that I was still, young enough but old enough to remember. There was an election in name only, but there was only one choice, and that was, of course, the Communist Party. And anybody deviating from that, who knows what the consequences would be. So that, not that I realized then, but I took from that freedom of choice is something very important to me, even though it was a lesson learned back then that I didn't see until later. Fast forward a few years, I met my wife Jean in 2000 after she had come over to during the Kosovo crisis. She had come over to my village in Albania to help out as part of a youth evangelical team. That she was born and raised in Hammondsport, and she had volunteered after high school to come there. So she was my English teacher. One thing led to another. We got married, and I immigrated to the United States with a marriage visa September 23rd, 2001, roughly 2 weeks after 9/11. Fast forward a few more years, it was one of the most proudest moments of my life when I became a citizen in the summer of 2005, and that was a great day. And that's the first time that I was registered as a Republican, and I could feel the whole the voice and registering to vote and the powerful freedoms that this country offers. So I guess that's a little bit of a background. And I came in, as I said, in 2001. I didn't have my high school diploma then. I studied for my GED. Fast forward a few more years, I finished law school in Chicago in 2012. So I'm an attorney by profession. That's in the ballpark. It's about 40 plus years of 2 minutes.
Yes, well, good job. So why did you decide to ultimately run for Steuben County Legislature? That's, of course, as you see on the bottom of the screen, District 12 in Erwin.
Yes. So my wife and I live in Erwin, have been living in Erwin for the last 10 years. We raise that's where, we have 3 children. And I decided to run for Erwin because I believe that people in general, but particularly in the town of Erwin, deserve to have a voice that advocates for them, that advocates for their wishes, their concerns, and most importantly, to be represented at the county legislature. I believe our framers made the choice of representation a key part in founding this country, and we have we have that all in all levels of our government, including at the local level. So I believe that that choice of representation is important to me, and I believe to give the people that freedom to have that voice heard.
So when you look at the future here, what are your kind of goals, or you could even look at it as maybe your campaign platform?
So my goals sort of run into my beliefs and that what I view as the Republican principles, Frank, and that is, I'm a strong believer in people, in freedom, in small government, in pro-business. I'm a strong pro-Second Amendment supporter. I'm an avid hunter. Those are my beliefs, but I think a lot of those is how I run my life as well. So in particular, I'd like to see those happen at the county level. So of course, the county legislature is in charge of the budget and several other issues. So that would be, in a nutshell, my platform. That's what I'd be advocating for people to be heard, and everybody to keep this county and this town of ours a great place to live.
What issues do you see that you'll be facing if you are lucky enough to become Steuben County Legislator?
Well, some of the issues that I would see facing, I guess, would be probably trying to taxes, I suppose, keeping them low as much as possible. We I guess in this current situation, there's the issue with taxes would be one. Flooding, unfortunately, in Steuben County, we've had a string of floods that, although maybe not many in Erwin may have been affected, our neighbors in Addison and throughout the county have been affected. So having the state and federal government help with that certainly would be a great thing. And I guess to that point, our chairwoman Kelly Fitzpatrick put a great statement out there to advocate for that. She's in my view, she's doing a great job. She's a good friend of mine, and she's also a supporter of mine in my campaign committee. But I know we're at the county level, but I mean, these are some of the issues that I think basically just advocating for people to make sure that this place continues to be a great place for the residents of both Erwin and the whole county.
And you took some of my bluster away. I was going to ask you about flooding, but there's, I think, two major issues that have been in the news for Steuben County in recent memory. One has been the flooding, obviously devastating in so many instances. The other that's been in the news has been kind of the county and the sheriff, the county versus the sheriff. And I was wondering your thoughts on that specifically.
Okay. My thoughts on, I am a strong supporter of the sheriff, Frank, for more than one reason, but principally in this country and also at this local level, we have a separation of powers. We have a county legislature and we have a sheriff that is publicly elected by the whole county. The sheriff was duly elected in 2020. It was duly overwhelmingly reelected in 2024. Now, this issue with I am familiar because, as I mentioned, I'm an attorney by nature, so this stuff is interesting to me. So I have reviewed the issue. I have reviewed the decision issued by the Supreme Court Justice Cook, and plain and simple, what happened was just wrong. Again, I support the sheriff. It should not have happened the way the county legislature, in my view, is not there to force a duly elected official out. It's there probably to provide a check, but not, so it shouldn't have happened, and that's my position on it. And again, I fully support our sheriff and law enforcement in that regard as well.
Now let's have a little fun. We talk on this program a lot about petitions because it isn't always the easiest process. How did the petition season go for you?
Well, to say it went fantastic, of course, would be a bit of an overstatement, but it went very well. I got 200 signatures, which is more than the requirement, the 160 minimum. But more importantly, what the petition process does, beside the grueling being out there in the cold, it gives you an opportunity to directly meet the voters of this town. On that, I can say overwhelmingly the experience was positive. There's always sometimes you have somebody that reluctant to open the door, but then they do, and then they speak to you, and then that's when you can. I've had people ask me all kinds of questions. Why am I running? But overall, the experience was positive, and I think it went very well.
What did you find that the voters were saying to you specifically? Were there major issues that they keep bringing to your attention?
Interestingly, they always start with the national issues. So, well, what do you think of the current national politics, and what do you think of this? And my answer to that was, well, I'm focusing on the local. That's why I'm running on the local. And I wish I could say I could focus and clear things higher up, but people were basically like, what do you stand for? What what are you going to do for me, or what? So in a way, basically asking me, some of the issues were, what are you going to do with taxes? But again, or other issues like that, and generally those kind of questions.
Gotcha. Now that is interesting how the primary is set up, because it's such a kind of a short time frame. Obviously, the elections are coming up in June, in the primary, I should say, and then it's from June, it's all the way till November. So if you were lucky enough to win the primary, you've got a long time to campaign for the general. But you have a short time frame right now to try to win that primary, and there are 3 people running. What is your campaign going to look like?
So my campaign is going to be basically a ground level campaign. I'm a strong believer in trying to meet as many of the electors, as many as the people of Erwin as possible. So knocking on doors, sending out some flyers, having meet the candidate options. In fact, I have 2. I plan to have 2 meet the candidate sessions. One of them is going to be on May 24 at the Kinsella Park here in Erwin. Hopefully the weather is going. We're going to have this kind of weather. I mean, we are in the spring finally in New York. So that's going to be from 10 to 12, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I really hope to meet some people there. I'm going to be hosting another additional Meet the Candidate one. That's going to be on June 8th. That is going to be in the afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. It's also going to be at the Kinsella Park. So I really hope to see people at both, but if one cannot make one, I hope they make the other.
Sure. Now, would you be open to, in this scenario, being that there's 3 candidates, you have such a short time frame, would you be open to a debate if your opponent's called for debate?
Absolutely. I think a debate would be great. I think, again, it goes with my beliefs that you put the choice to the people. You give them the option to learn more about me, about the other candidates for that matter. So, yeah, absolutely, I'll be for a debate.
Just before we go, how can people help your campaign and maybe find out more about you?
Yeah, so I'm very open to all kinds of questions. I'd love to meet many of you at these 2 dates, but also you can see me follow me on Facebook, as well as you can email me directly at Drinald Bilcari. That's my
You see it on the screen.
You see it on the screen,
Yep.
first and last name at gmail.com. Just email me with any kind of questions, and I'll how you're willing to help, and whether you would be willing to put a yard sign in your yard, or just simply just say hello, and
Yep.
and that would be great.
again, give those days and times.
Yes, the first one is going to be May 24. That's a Saturday. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Kinsella Park on Canada Road. The second one is going to be June 8 from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's going to be a Sunday, and that's also at the Kinsella Park on Canada Road.
Great. All right. Just before we go, what would you say to voters before they head into primary day?
Voting is such a privilege and such an important right, so I would ask the voters to get out and vote.
Perfect. Well, Drinald, thanks so much for being on the program. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you, Frank.
All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.